Life is a great banquet, and the universe is the ever-attentive waiter, standing at your side with infinite supply ready to be served. Too often, humanity sits at this divine table starving, not because the feast is absent, but because the order was never placed with certainty. You would not sit in a café and whisper your request, nor doubt that your juice will arrive once you ask. Yet in matters of money, many shrink, hesitate, and tremble before the abundance that is their birthright. Money is simply energy, a form of God's circulating substance, no more strange than sunshine or breath. When you ask for it as naturally as you ask for water, it flows to you, clear and refreshing. The law is simple. What you demand in faith comes to meet you, pressed down and running over. What you fear to claim, you postpone. The universe does not deny, it waits for your recognition. Consider how easily you place an order for juice. You do not analyze where the fruit grew, or worry whether the glass will be filled. You speak, the waiter hears, and the drink arrives. In the same manner, you may order money. You need not wonder how the channels will open, through what avenue it will appear, or whether the supply is sufficient. Divine intelligence arranges the details, and the law of substance rushes to fulfill the spoken word. Yet, many approach money with doubt, as though it were rare, fragile, or dependent upon struggle. They affirm lack, and lack obeys their command. They fear debts, and debts multiply. Every thought is an order placed with the unseen. The subconscious is the great ledger, recording and delivering according to the request. If the mind insists, "I never have enough," the waiter bows solemnly and serves up shortage. If the heart boldly declares, "My supply is endless, and money flows freely to me," the order is filled with astonishing speed. The difference lies not in the universe, but in the asker. The law is impersonal, like the sun that shines on both palace and prison. It grants according to belief. One glass of juice or a river of gold, it makes no difference. The command must be clear, confident, and clothed in faith. When you order juice, you expect it to come swiftly, without resistance. Why not hold the same joyful expectancy with money? To doubt is to cancel. To hesitate is to confuse the kitchen of the infinite. To affirm with calm assurance is to set divine law in motion. Money, like juice, is prepared the instant you place the order, and it arrives in the perfect time and way, if you will only open your hand to receive. Money is divine substance, as natural to claim as sunshine or breath. The soul that truly grasps this truth finds a new freedom rising within, a lifting of old burdens that once clung like heavy chains. For money is not foreign, hostile, or a strange intruder upon the spiritual path. It is but one of the many forms through which the infinite expresses its abundance. To separate the idea of money from the holiness of life is to divide what was never divided. The divine source is whole, complete, indivisible. Everything that exists flows from this source. And money is no less sacred than the rose that blooms in the garden, or the rain that falls upon the thirsty earth. The air you breathe is not earned by toil. You do not awaken in fear, wondering whether oxygen will be provided for you today. You breathe in, and the universe answers instantly, filling your lungs without struggle. So too is the law of supply in matters of money. It is not something to be grasped, clawed at, or worshipped as though it held a power apart from God. It is energy, circulating and replenishing, moving ceaselessly as the tides of the sea. When one recognizes this, the old shadow of anxiety begins to dissolve. For how could one fear what is already their divine inheritance? Yet humanity has been taught to treat money as something different, something less pure, or something to be gained through relentless effort and guarded with suspicion. This false teaching is like a veil placed over the eyes, distorting the clear vision of truth. In reality, money is nothing more than a symbol, a visible representation of the invisible flow of substance. It is God in action, condensed into the form we can exchange, carry, and use to bless ourselves and others. When you know this, the grasping hand is relaxed, and the heart begins to give thanks before the need is even met, because the supply is seen as eternal. Think of sunshine. It does not knock timidly at your window, asking permission to shine. It pours itself out lavishly, impartially, without hesitation, blessing all that it touches. The miser and the saint both receive its warmth. Likewise, divine substance, of which money is a part, seeks expression and circulation. It is not withholding itself, waiting to be persuaded. It is present in endless measure, awaiting recognition. Your consciousness is the window through which it shines, and the cleaner that window is of doubt, fear, and limitation, the brighter and more abundant the flow. Breath, too, gives its lesson. When you inhale, you never doubt that air will be there. You do not hoard one breath in terror that another may not come. To do so would only choke you, for life itself is circulation. Receiving and releasing, taking in and giving out. Money operates by the same law. To hold it in fear is to block the current. To let it move freely, joyfully, and with gratitude is to remain in harmony with the eternal rhythm of supply. Just as you exhale to make space for the next inhalation, so giving and spending with faith makes way for greater inflow. The problem is never with money itself, but with the false beliefs woven around it. Many have been taught that money is scarce, that it must be earned only through hard struggle, or that desiring it is somehow unspiritual. These beliefs are the bars of a prison built in thought, and countless souls live confined within them, unaware that the door is unlocked. To claim money as natural is not to worship it, but to honor the source from which it flows. To expect it without strain is to acknowledge that the Creator does not withhold good from its children. When you understand money as divine substance, every penny becomes holy. A small coin in your hand glows with the same essence as the golden sun above. You begin to see circulation everywhere. In the rivers that flow, in the seasons that turn, in the breath that moves through you. And money becomes part of that grand circulation. Not an isolated matter to be feared or worshipped, but simply one more expression of divine rhythm. This recognition frees the mind. It allows you to call forth money with the same ease you expect the dawn to follow the night. Imagine standing in a garden, watching fruit ripen on the branches. You would not doubt that the tree is capable of bearing. You would not plead with it to produce, nor worry that its supply might fail. You would simply wait in confidence, knowing that the process is already unfolding. For it is the tree's nature to give fruit. In the same way, it is the nature of divine substance to give, and money is one of its fruits. When you align yourself with this knowing, you no longer beg the universe. You place your request with calm assurance, just as you order juice at a café, and the fulfillment comes in due time. Fear enters only when one forgets the source. If you believe that money must come through one narrow channel, a job, a client, a single benefactor, you are placing limits upon the limitless. You are saying to the ocean of supply, I will accept only one drop, and it must arrive through this vessel. But the law of divine substance knows countless ways to reach you. It may arrive through expected channels, or through avenues you never imagined, for it is creative and boundless. To release the demand upon form is to allow the infinite to surprise you, and the more open you are, the greater the blessings that appear. The soul that treats money as natural, as easy to claim as sunlight or breath, ceases to live in tension. Gratitude replaces anxiety. Generosity replaces fear. Every bill paid becomes a testimony of faith, every gift given a seed for greater harvest. You do not hoard air, nor would you fear that the sun might fail to rise. When you see money in the same way, you live in freedom. You ask without hesitation. You receive without guilt, and you release without fear, for you know the supply is inexhaustible. The recognition of money as divine substance lifts the mind above the shadow of poverty thinking. It restores balance to the heart, reminding it that to receive is no more selfish than to breathe. It is part of the divine order, and claiming it is as natural as opening your window to the morning light. The universe is waiting for your word, listening for your faith-filled command, ready to pour out substance in the exact measure of your belief. Every thought and word is an order placed with the unseen. The universe is like a vast receiving station, sensitive to the smallest vibration sent out by the mind and heart. Nothing spoken passes into silence. It is carried, impressed, and returned with precision according to the tone in which it was released. The mind is a workshop where patterns are designed, and the words are the blueprint that directs the unseen forces into form. Each utterance is creative, each thought magnetic, and every repeated idea becomes a command that the invisible obeys without question. When one says, "I never have enough," that statement travels instantly into the law of creation, and the law, being impersonal, delivers more lack. It does not question whether this command was issued in fear, in jest, or in unconscious habit. It simply fulfills the word as ordered. Just as a restaurant waiter brings exactly what was asked for, whether nourishing or harmful, the unseen forces return exactly what was spoken into them. In this way, the world each person inhabits is the result of the steady stream of orders they have placed, whether deliberately or carelessly, over days, months, and years. If you say, "I prosper wherever I go," the unseen immediately begins aligning circumstances to reflect prosperity in all places. Doors open, opportunities appear, people show up with offers of help. The unseen arranges itself around the word spoken, because it is law, and the law does not fail. The difference lies only in the quality of what was asked. Thoughts of lack, complaint, and fear are orders for more of the same. Thoughts of faith, praise, and assurance are orders for abundance, protection, and joy. Each is answered in kind, for the universe is faithful to its nature. This truth places immense power in the hands of every soul. No one is at the mercy of outer conditions, for outer conditions are themselves the harvest of inner speech and thought. Even the silence of the mind is not empty, for unspoken fears and unexpressed faith both vibrate and create. The subconscious receives impressions from all these currents and acts as a tireless servant, bringing forth into experience whatever is most consistently impressed upon it. In this way, the subconscious is the fertile soil, and the thoughts and words are the seeds planted. Some seeds grow into flowers of beauty, others into weeds of lack, but the soil never refuses. It receives and multiplies whatever it is given. Most people are careless gardeners. They scatter seeds without awareness, speaking words of limitation casually, repeating phrases of worry as though they were powerless. Yet each word is creative. To say, "I can't afford it," is to order limitation from the unseen. To say, "Money comes to me easily and freely," is to order supply. The difference may not be visible immediately, for seeds take time to germinate, but in due season the harvest comes, and it comes exactly according to the seed planted. If one is dissatisfied with the harvest, the wise course is not to fight the outer condition, but to change the seed, to change the words and thoughts being sown. The spoken word is especially powerful because it carries vibration into the atmosphere. It is not only the thought within, but the sound itself that imprints the unseen. A declaration spoken with faith strikes the universe with precision, as a hammer strikes a bell, and the law reverberates with the command until it brings forth the result. This is why affirmations are so potent when spoken aloud. The tongue is the pen of creation, and what it writes is recorded in substance. To declare "I am wealthy in every way" is to set a vibration in motion that must return wealth in visible form. Careless words create careless results. Many speak of sickness, lack, or trouble, not realizing they are placing orders for exactly these conditions. Every complaint is an order for more of what is complained about. Every worry expressed is a request for more things to worry over. The unseen is literal. It does not understand sarcasm or jest. To say, "I'm always broke," in laughter is to command the unseen to keep you broke. To say, "Nothing ever works out for me," is to direct the law to arrange repeated failure. And the law, being obedient, fulfills without hesitation. In contrast, those who guard their words as treasures, who weigh each statement before sending it forth, discover that their lives are shaped with precision. They learn to replace careless affirmations of lack with deliberate affirmations of abundance. Instead of, "I can't," they say, "All things are possible for me." Instead of, "This is too hard," they say, "I am divinely equipped to succeed." These new orders are received instantly by the unseen, and the rearrangement of conditions begins, just as surely as if a new order had been placed at a shop or café. Even thoughts unspoken are orders, for thought itself is energy. The mind may not voice its fear, but if the fear is entertained, the order is still given. That is why the discipline of inner life is as important as the discipline of spoken word. The conscious mind is like a radio tower, broadcasting continually. The universe does not distinguish between words shouted aloud or whispered within. It answers to vibration, and vibration is present in all thought. Therefore, the wise soul learns to cultivate a mind of peace, of assurance, of praise, so that even the silent orders placed are those of harmony and abundance. Repetition strengthens the order. A single statement may begin the process, but a thought repeated, a phrase affirmed daily, becomes deeply imprinted upon the subconscious and acts with greater power. Just as a path across a field is formed by many steps, so the groove of belief is deepened by constant repetition. The subconscious then acts automatically, carrying out the order without effort, arranging outer conditions in line with the inner command. When one says, "Money flows to me freely," day after day with conviction, the subconscious accepts this as truth, and money begins to appear in ways that may have seemed impossible before. The law is always active, always attentive. It does not rest or delay. It is impartial and exact. What you order with your words and thoughts, you will eat at the banquet of life. If your plate is filled with bitterness, know that bitter words and fearful thoughts were ordered in the past. If your table is spread with joy and wealth, know that joyful thoughts and faithful words placed those orders. The menu is infinite, and the waiter never denies. What changes is the choice of the one who orders. To know this is to awaken to responsibility, but also to freedom, for nothing is withheld from the one who places the right order. Faith-filled expectancy calls forth supply without delay. The unseen responds not to wishful hoping, nor to timid pleading, but to the radiant certainty that what is asked is already on its way. Expectancy is the magnet, the invisible hand stretched out to receive the gift before it appears. When one asks with doubt, the request is tangled in hesitation and blocked in fear. When one asks with calm assurance, as naturally as ordering a glass of water, the law moves swiftly to arrange its delivery. It is not the size of the request that matters, but the strength of the expectancy behind it. A crumb of bread or a fortune of gold are equal in the eyes of divine substance. What determines the speed of manifestation is the clear conviction that it is already provided. Faith is not blind belief. It is inner knowing. The recognition that the invisible is as real as the visible, and that the unseen supply is as close as the breath in your body. Expectancy is the outward posture of this inner knowing. The one who expects does not glance nervously around to see whether the answer is coming. They rest in the assurance that it cannot fail to arrive. Just as you expect the sun to rise without questioning its schedule, so too must you expect your supply to appear without questioning the channels through which it may come. The law is certain, and it never falters. Children demonstrate this truth most purely. When a child asks a parent for food, the expectancy is immediate. The child does not wonder whether the parent can provide, nor calculate the means by which it will be given. The child simply expects, and the need is met. That is faith in its simplicity, and that is the very attitude that calls forth supply from the universe. Adults, weighed down by fear and false teaching, cloud their expectancy with worry. They ask, but then undo the request with anxious thoughts. They place an order, then cancel it in doubt, then place it again in desperation. The law cannot work efficiently under such conditions. The clear, unwavering expectancy of faith is what sets it free to act without delay. Consider the farmer who plants a seed. He does not dig it up each day to see whether it has begun to sprout. He plants, waters, and expects the harvest. His expectancy calls forth growth, for expectancy keeps him steady in his work. If he doubted, he might neglect the field or abandon it entirely, and the harvest would be lost. Expectancy fuels action as much as it fuels manifestation. It keeps the heart aligned with the unseen process until the visible result appears. So it is with supply. Faith-filled expectancy keeps the mind calm, the words affirmative, and the actions in harmony with the arrival of the good that has already been set in motion. Delay often comes not from the law, but from divided thought. Many ask for abundance while expecting shortage. They declare wealth but anticipate lack. The universe responds to expectancy more than to words, for expectancy is the deeper vibration. If one prays for prosperity but secretly imagines bills piling up and accounts emptying, it is that image which is fulfilled. If one asks for money but then checks their pockets in fear, it is the fear that draws its likeness. The secret is to hold expectancy so firmly that no contrary image is permitted. Faith must be unwavering, for it is the unwavering that summons swift results. Faith-filled expectancy is not merely a mental stance but a vibration that radiates through the entire being. It shows itself in posture, in tone of voice, in the way one handles even the smallest coin. The person who expects wealth does not shrink when spending, for they know more is on its way. They do not clutch at money with fear, for their expectancy assures them of constant circulation. Even in moments when the outer appearance seems thin, their inner conviction remains unshaken. That conviction is the signal sent to the universe, and the universe rushes to honor it. The law of expectancy is impartial, just as all divine law is impartial. It delivers both the expected lack and the expected abundance. The pessimist who continually expects failure finds failure meeting him at every corner. The optimist who expects success discovers doors opening in surprising ways. Both are exercising the same law. The difference is only in the quality of their expectancy. Faith directs the law toward good, while fear directs the law toward limitation. This is why cultivating expectancy is so vital, for it is always operating, whether one is conscious of it or not. Expectancy also creates readiness. The person who expects supply prepares for it, makes room for it, and therefore recognizes it when it comes. Without expectancy, blessings may pass unnoticed. Opportunities may be ignored because the mind was not prepared to see them. To expect is to tune the inner vision so that the outer manifestation is recognized and embraced. Many times the supply is already present, but lack of expectancy blinds the eyes to it. Faith-filled expectancy clears the vision, allowing one to grasp what has been there all along. The atmosphere of expectancy draws others as well. Those who walk in faith carry a magnetic quality, attracting cooperation, goodwill, and unexpected assistance. People are drawn to the one who radiates assurance, for assurance inspires trust, even without words. Faith-filled expectancy creates currents in the unseen and influences conditions to bend in one's favor. Just as a confident speaker compels attention more than a hesitant one, so a confident soul compels the law of supply more than one who doubts. Expectancy is not arrogance, it is humility before divine law. It is the acknowledgement that the universe is faithful, that God's substance is inexhaustible, and that it is not dependent on personal struggle or strain. To expect supply is to honor the source, to declare that it does not fail. It is to align oneself with the very nature of creation, which is abundance continually expressing itself. Faith-filled expectancy is gratitude in advance, thanksgiving before the gift is visible, joy in the certainty that the order has already been filled. The more one practices expectancy, the more natural it becomes. At first, the mind may wander into doubt, for years of conditioning have trained it to expect struggle. But as one deliberately replaces doubt with assurance, the groove of faith deepens, and expectancy grows steady. It becomes the natural state, as effortless as breathing. In this state, supply flows continuously, for the channels remain open, unobstructed by fear or hesitation. What was once a struggle becomes a rhythm, a constant outpouring of provision that meets every need with perfect timing. Doubt and fear are cancelled orders to the universe. The law of supply is precise, exact, and unwavering, but it requires a clear instruction. The moment a request is issued in faith, unseen forces move to arrange its fulfillment. Yet when doubt creeps in, it is as if the command has been withdrawn, the order retracted. the invisible kitchen left without direction. The law does not argue or persuade, it obeys. A request made with faith sets everything in motion, but the introduction of fear or disbelief signals to the law that the order is no longer valid, and so the process halts. Imagine a person sitting at a table in a restaurant. They order a meal with confidence, but when the waiter departs, they call him back and say, "Cancel it, I am not sure if I can afford it." Then moments later, they place the order again, only to recall the waiter once more and say, "On second thought, I doubt the cook can prepare it the way I want." This back and forth may continue endlessly, but no food ever arrives. Because the kitchen cannot complete what has never been firmly allowed to proceed. Such is the effect of doubt and fear upon the orders we place with the unseen. Faith is the open channel. It is the signal that keeps the current of divine substance flowing. Doubt and fear act as blockages, shutting off the current, cutting the wires, severing the flow. It does not matter how many times one asks for abundance, if each request is followed by a thought of suspicion. The universe is impartial and its law is literal. It reads doubt as a cancellation. It reads fear as a withdrawal. And so the good that was rushing toward you pauses, waiting for a clear signal once again. Many souls unknowingly live in this cycle of ordering and canceling. They affirm prosperity in the morning. Yet by afternoon they rehearse stories of bills and shortages. They visualize abundance, but moments later they mutter about what they lack. Each time fear speaks louder than faith, the order is nullified. Each time doubt enters the mind, the unseen pauses its delivery. They wonder why results are slow, not realizing they have interrupted the process repeatedly with contrary vibrations. Doubt is not simply uncertainty. It is a command. It is the act of saying to the universe, "I revoke my request. I no longer believe it is possible." Fear is not merely an emotion. It is an instruction. It tells the unseen, "Do not bring me what I asked for, bring me instead the likeness of this fear." And so the law obeys, delivering more of what is feared, reinforcing the illusion of limitation. Thus the one who fears lack attracts lack. The one who fears sickness attracts sickness, for fear is an active ordering force just as faith is. This is why guarding the mind is so essential. The law cannot be deceived by outward speech alone. One may affirm abundance with the lips, but if the heart quivers with fear, it is the vibration of fear that is honored. The unseen does not respond to words alone, but to the belief behind them. It is not enough to repeat affirmations mechanically, the spirit of faith must animate them. Otherwise, they are countermanded by the silent orders of doubt within. The remedy lies in persistence. Faith must be chosen again and again, until it becomes the dominant vibration. Each time doubt arises, it must be recognized as a cancellation and replaced immediately with a renewed affirmation. Each time fear whispers, it must be answered with a louder declaration of truth. In this way, the inner signal is kept steady, and the order remains firm. The universe then proceeds without interruption, arranging the channels, assembling the supply, delivering the fulfillment. Consider the flow of electricity. A lamp glows only when the current is unbroken. If the switch is flicked on and off repeatedly, the light sputters, or it does not shine at all. Faith is the switch left in the on position. Doubt and fear are the restless hands flicking the switch back and forth, cutting off the power, preventing the light from shining steadily. The law of supply operates in the same way. The power is always available, but it requires constancy of faith to flow unhindered. Fear often disguises itself as prudence or realism. One may say, "I am only being practical," when in truth they are affirming limitation. They call it caution, but it is doubt in another form. To say, "I must prepare for lack in case it comes," is to order lack. To say, "I must expect disappointment so I will not be surprised," is to order disappointment. The universe does not discern intention. It delivers what is spoken and believed. To clothe fear in the garments of wisdom does not change its vibration. Only faith is creative, and only faith keeps the order alive. This is why expectation and gratitude are so powerful as antidotes. They occupy the space where doubt and fear would intrude. A mind filled with thanksgiving cannot simultaneously harbor fear of loss. A heart brimming with expectancy has no room for doubt. When you thank the universe in advance, you signal that the order has been placed and received, and there is no cancellation. When you live in expectancy, you stand as one waiting at the door for the arrival of the gift, never questioning whether it will come, but only looking with joy to see how it will appear. The practice of faith is not to deny that doubt and fear arise, but to refuse to let them linger. They may knock at the door, but you need not invite them in. They may whisper, but you need not echo their words. Each time they appear, you may replace them with declarations of truth. The supply is sure. The order is filled. The law is faithful. These words re-establish the vibration, renew the signal, keep the current unbroken. Over time, the habit of faith grows stronger, and the habit of fear grows weaker, until faith becomes the natural state and the cancellations cease. The moment faith is steady, the unseen works swiftly. For there is no delay in the law itself. Delay exists only in the vacillation of the asker. The universe is like a clear mirror, reflecting without distortion. Hold up the image of abundance with steady faith, and abundance appears. Hold it up with trembling hands, withdrawing it again and again, and the mirror has nothing constant to reflect. Faith is constancy. Fear is fluctuation. The law magnifies constancy and withholds from fluctuation, not by choice, but by the nature of its perfection. Every soul has the choice each moment, to sustain the order or to cancel it. The choice is not made once, but continually, through thoughts, words, and feelings. To sustain it is to live in faith, to speak as though it were already accomplished, to act as though it were already given. To cancel it is to dwell in fear, to speak of lack, to act in hesitation. The law is impartial. It does not punish or reward, it simply reflects. The decision is ours alone, and the result always corresponds exactly to the choice made. Clear, confident affirmation sets divine law into motion. The spoken word, charged with faith and certainty, is a decree to the unseen, a command that reverberates through substance and shapes itself into form. Every affirmation is like a seed dropped into fertile soil. It carries within itself the pattern of its fulfillment, and once planted with conviction, the law of growth takes hold and brings it forth in due time. The difference between a weak utterance and a confident affirmation is the difference between a seed scattered on barren ground and a seed planted firmly in rich earth. One fades without result while the other germinates, takes root, and becomes visible in the outer world. Affirmation is not wishful thinking. It is not pleading or hoping. It is the bold declaration that what is unseen is already true, and that its manifestation is inevitable. To say, "I am prosperous," when the pockets are empty, is not a denial of fact but an affirmation of truth that precedes fact. The law does not move according to outer appearances, it moves according to inner decree. When the affirmation is clear, the law receives the order and begins arranging conditions, opportunities, and channels that correspond. Confusion in affirmation brings confused results, but clarity spoken with confidence produces exact fulfillment. The word, clear, is vital, for the law does not act upon vague or divided signals. To say, "I think I might have enough," is to send a blurred impression, like an artist smudging a canvas before the picture is formed. The result will be equally smudged, incomplete, uncertain. But to declare, "My supply is endless, and money flows freely to me now," is to issue a definite order, sharp and precise, which the universe can obey without hesitation. Clarity is power, for the unseen cannot distort a clear decree. Confidence adds the vibration that propels the word forward. A timid voice may utter the same words, but without confidence, the order lacks force. Confidence comes from the recognition that the law is unfailing, that divine substance is infinite, and that the spoken word has creative authority. When you affirm with confidence, the vibration penetrates the subconscious and impresses it deeply. The subconscious then acts like a faithful servant, tirelessly arranging outer conditions to align with the inner decree. Without confidence, the affirmation may be heard but not believed, spoken but not accepted. Confidence clothes the word with life, and life responds. Affirmations are like commands issued to a loyal army. The army does not question the worthiness of the command, it executes exactly as directed. If the command is advance, the army moves forward. If the command is retreat, it falls back. The universe is the same. It does not debate or analyze. It takes the word spoken in faith as its marching order. To affirm clearly and confidently is to lead this army with authority. To affirm weakly or contradictorily is to confuse the ranks, leaving them without direction. The outer results reflect the inner command. Every moment, affirmations are being issued, whether consciously or unconsciously. Words of complaint are affirmations of lack. Words of fear are affirmations of limitation. Words of despair are affirmations of failure. The law does not stop to question whether these were intended or careless. It fulfills them all with the same obedience. To bring life into harmony, one must therefore become deliberate, watching the words that proceed from the tongue and the thoughts that form within. By replacing careless statements with deliberate affirmations, the inner current is redirected, and the law is set to work in new patterns of abundance. Confident affirmation also dissolves the inertia of past negative orders. Many carry in their subconscious years of fearful decrees. Statements like, "I never have enough," or "things never work out for me." These have built grooves of belief that continue to attract similar results. But a clear, confident affirmation, repeated with persistence, begins to carve a new groove. Over time, it overwrites the old commands, establishing a new pattern in the subconscious. The past harvests of lack may still appear for a season, but the new seed has been planted, and it will inevitably bring forth a new harvest. Affirmation must always be stated in the present tense, for divine law acts in the eternal now. To say, "I will be prosperous," places prosperity forever in the future, just beyond reach. The law hears, "Not yet," and continues to withhold. To say, "I am prosperous now," declares that the state already exists in substance, and the law hastens to make the outer form match the inner truth. Confidence comes from declaring it as already done, for the unseen responds not to time but to certainty. The more definite the affirmation, the swifter the law fulfills it. Clarity and confidence also require consistency. To affirm one thing in the morning, and its opposite by night, is to scatter energy in conflicting directions. The subconscious becomes confused, the signal unclear, and the law halts in its execution. But when the affirmation is repeated steadily, with unwavering tone, day after day, the subconscious accepts it as reality. Consistency builds momentum. The affirmation gathers force, like a river swelling as tributaries join, until it rushes forth into visible manifestation. Affirmations need not be elaborate. In fact, the simplest declarations often carry the most power, for they are uncluttered, direct, and easy for the subconscious to absorb. A phrase like, "I am supplied in full," or "money flows to me now," can shape destiny more effectively than a long, complicated formula spoken without conviction. It is not the length of the affirmation but the clarity and confidence with which it is delivered that determines its creative power. The spoken word is creative sound. Sound carries vibration into the atmosphere, and that vibration continues to reverberate until it finds form. When spoken with confidence, an affirmation carries a tone that cuts through doubt and establishes a strong frequency in the unseen. Others may even feel the vibration unconsciously, sensing the authority in your words. The atmosphere itself shifts under the impact of confident declaration, for the spoken word is never lost, it lingers and builds, weaving itself into the fabric of reality. One must also remember that the law is impartial. It will carry out affirmations of limitation as faithfully as affirmations of abundance. To say, "I can't afford this," is as much an affirmation as, "I have endless supply." The difference lies only in what is affirmed. Clear, confident declarations of lack bring lack just as efficiently as clear, confident declarations of wealth bring wealth. This is why vigilance is required. By consciously choosing affirmations of good, one sets the law into motion toward prosperity, health, harmony, and joy. Affirmation is not mere repetition, it is declaration clothed with belief. To say the words without confidence is to leave the seed unwatered. But when the words are spoken with conviction, feeling, and certainty, the affirmation comes alive. It enters the subconscious not as a suggestion but as a command. The subconscious does not debate, it accepts and executes. The outer life then rearranges itself to mirror the inner decree, and what was once invisible becomes visible in perfect form.